Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Almost no one reported it. It never even made it onto the radar screens of any media outlets. And yet, there it was. A small, seemingly insignificant speech given by the Holy Father in the final days of Advent, where he made an astonishing remark. With the papal representatives to most of the world's governments gathered around him, as well as members of the Curia, Benedict stood there and reflected on the current state of mankind and said, quote, "The very future of the world is at stake." The context of the Pope's words was the near total collapse in the Western world of any moral consensus rooted in Christian ethics, in a Christian heritage. He said that, his words now, an eclipse of reason has taken place, that man no longer uses his intellect in search of God, but is driven by his passions and desire for self-gratification. In fact, he began his comments by comparing today's current state of affairs to that of the collapse of the Roman Empire. He said, and pay very close attention to this part, quote, "The disintegration of the key principles of law and of the fundamental moral attitudes underpinning them burst open the dams, which until that time had protected peaceful coexistence among peoples. The sun was setting over an entire world." What is the Pope seeing that so many others in the Church are either not seeing or don't want to see? What is Peter looking at just over the horizon? He is seeing a new and horrible order descending on mankind, a new dark age. And why shouldn't he see this? It is exactly what is happening. The Western world slaughters its young at a rate that would make Nazis and barbarians blush with shame. Sexual perversion is elevated to a positive law right. The disintegration of the family is at full throttle. Every major institution in society is in a major state of meltdown. Not since the days of the Empire has the race been so threatened with depravity and all that follows in its wake. But much of the consequences of a moral collapse are already here, at least in their early stages, which suggests that the collapse is already in process. Of course it is. That's the whole point. The Holy Father zeroed in on one of the major symptoms of what he called moral disintegration, and it is sexual immorality. With regard to this, he said that no pleasure is ever enough, and all of this is in the name of a fatal, note the word, fatal misunderstanding of freedom, which actually undermines man's freedom and ultimately destroys it. Now, not a small number of Catholic individuals and organizations have looked around and reached the same conclusion for some time now. Real Catholic TV is one of them. The sun is setting on the current state of affairs. To deny this is lunacy or willful blindness, which betokens a complete lack of savvy or intellectual competency. This is exactly why faithful Catholics have been and are becoming much more vocal about the garbage that is going on in the Church. The lack of faithfulness and obedience to the magisterium on the part of so many bishops and clergy and religious is abominable, and those who allow the status quo to continue will partially shoulder the blame for the coming dark age. And this is a shout out to all those in the Church who have a leadership role and have chosen to abandon the flock because of a lack of courage. Do not think that when this evil night finally descends that you somehow will be spared. It is your very lack of action and boldness that has helped to bring about the situation. You have refused to protect the people of God. You have allowed them to give themselves over to a life where they reject objective morality and substitute a religion of their own making and a God of their own fashioning while still calling themselves Catholic. The sun is truly setting, and what follows is the darkness. You have not resisted the darkness. In some cases, many church leaders have actually willfully cooperated with it. There will be no escape from the darkness that will engulf you. How many millions of souls have been lost on your watch? People within the current church bureaucracy, religious and lay alike, who sit in their ivy towers of pride and arrogance, those who the Holy Father earlier this month called professional Catholics, are quick to condemn voices from below pointing to the signs of the times. Those same voices issue a clarion call that the entire civilization is about to undergo a massive upheaval and a descent into blackness. They are labeled nutcases by those in positions of power, Chicken Littles who are nothing more than whack jobs. Really? Say that to and about the Holy Father now. Do not forget his words. The sun was setting over an entire world, and the very future of the world is at stake. Wake up and try to save what you can in the short amount of time we all still have left. God bless you. I'm Michael Voris.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.